Hello guys, and welcome to this brief introduction to ArrayList. I encourage you, as the first thing you want to do is have in mind that the Java API and the documents for ArrayList. This actually will help you use and understand the returning values or the return values for each of the methods that we are going to use in this class. Basically, an array list, it's an array, but this array can be modified the size. And different from arrays which have a fixed index, here we can add and modify the size of the array at any time. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is how to declare an array list. Well, actually an array list is a list, okay, and it's a list that will have different elements or either a primitive data type or an object. In this case, let's begin with integers. Okay, so instead of writing the word int, I write the word integer, and I'm going to type in, I'm going to create a value, new array list. Okay, and we are going to, it's kind of a little bit different from the way that we have used the other lists, the other way of declaring our objects or initializing our objects. And here we have a small error, and it's because we need to import our Java utils. Okay, so when we import this, we are importing the collections of lists. Okay, now after we have a list, okay, now we can start adding different information to this list. In our case, it's going to be an integer list. Okay, so the first element we are going to use is the method add. Well, add will actually append the specified elements to the end of the list. So if I use value.add, I am just adding to the list at the bottom of the list. Okay, we can also use add and insert an index if we want to add an element of the list. So it's important that we understand how these two work. So I'm going to add the value of 4, and since the position is already indexed, the very first time I say add is going to put it in position 0. If I add again another value, let's say 8, then it's going to be added in position 1. And so on and so forth until as many values that we want. Okay, so another good thing about ArrayList is that it has a toString method in its class, which will actually print out the values of our array list. In this case, if we want to print out how the array list is looking at this point, I just need to print out the value or the object or the array list, and I can actually get the numbers in this position. So I got 4, 8, 2. Okay, so after this, I'm going to make a little bit of changes in my array list to see what happens. Okay, what if I add another value in a certain position? What is going to happen? Is it going to be replaced by that position, or the values are going to be stacked down and added inside the array list? So let's see if I can add another value, but this time I am going to add an index. So I'm going to say that I want to add this number in position 1. Okay, and then I'm going to print out the array list again and see what happened with my array list. Okay, so I'm adding the number 12 in position 1. So as you can see, it doesn't replace whatever number was in position 1, which was 8. It just puts it in the middle, right over here, and stacks the numbers down. Like, it moves all the numbers down. Okay, moves them down in the array list, and it automatically resizes the array list to 4. Okay, So it's put in position 1 and it's resized in position 4. Okay, that's something very important to have in mind when adding elements in an array list. Another thing that we can learn is a method called clear. If I wish to clear this array list, I just need to say clear. Okay, and the method clear will actually eliminate and delete all the numbers in my array list. Now I'm going to print out again my array list and see what happens. Okay, as you can see, it's an empty array list. It still shows that there is an array list existing, but it doesn't have any elements. I would need to add them all over again. Okay? So that is the method clear. Okay, another method that we can actually use that is very helpful is the get method. We're not going to go through all the methods. You can do it on your own, just checking different types of methods, how they are used, and what do they return. In this case, let's start use the method get. The method get is very important because I can actually access the number or the value in a certain position. So if I say value.get, and let's say I want the index of 5, then I can actually, the index of 2, I can get the number in position 2. So what I'm getting will be that certain position. Okay? So the number 8, as you can see right here, is in position 2. So this is how I can get a value of my array list, which is located at this certain position. Okay. Now, do you remember that we used to use a for loop or enhanced for loops or nested for loops in case we needed to search for an element in a 1D or a 2D array? Well, in an array list, it's a little bit different. We actually have a method called index of that it can return, or it can give us the index of an element that we are looking for on the array list. So if we have our array list, which is 4, 12, 8, 2, and I'm looking for a number, let's say the number 12, I can say, okay, value index of 12, and it should return the index if it finds the number. So let's click on it, and it says at position 1, we have the element that I was looking for. So it's a very fast searching method. You can search in the array if you just look for the object. Okay. Now, what happens if the element is not there? What will it return? Okay. If the element is not in the array list, the one that I'm looking for, it returns a 0. Okay. It returns a 0 if it doesn't find anything. If we go to the index of, let's see, wait. For it's in position 0. Yeah, that's right. What if it finds, let's write any other number, number 5. It should return a -1. Every time that it doesn't find something, you can return a -1. That way you can create conditions that actually work if the number is not found. For example, if the return value of index of is less than 0, then it's because the number is not there. So you can continue looking and creating your for loop with the different iterations. Okay, another method that I want to show you is empty. Empty is really helpful because it actually tells us if the value or if the array list is actually empty or not. You want to know that it's empty in order to put more numbers, or sometimes you want to remove elements until it is empty. So you can just remove all the elements from an array list and put it into another array list, and so on and so forth. In this case, it returns a Boolean value, or it returns true or false, and it returns false because the array list in hand actually has elements inside. Okay, the next method we are going to look at is remove. So when you remove, it actually works the opposite from the add. It actually removes an element. In our case, since we're using integer numbers, we remove an index. So remove the element at position 2. Let's see what happens when you remove an element at position 2. Now you have the new array list and you removed the position 2. Okay? Different from the array list, which if we want to know how many elements are in the array list or the length, in arrays, we use a method called size. So if we want to know the size of this array list, we use the method size, which is different from arrays, and we use length. In this case, we have three elements, okay, in our array list. So the good thing about ArrayList is that first its size is modifiable. You can modify it, and the second thing is that there are so many methods that you can use in order to simplify the work of lists. It's pretty much what we do. The only thing is that we're talking about lists, okay? So it's pretty much a 1D array that we're using. We cannot modify an array list in order to have a 2D array at the moment, even though you can use parallel array lists or have many array lists and turn it into a 2D array list. But it's basically used for a list of values. Another cool method that is in the ArrayList class is the sorting method. In the case that you are using numbers, it's really easy to use. You just have to sort the array list, and it will sort it in a natural way. There are other parameters that you can add to this method in order to sort it depending on a comparison. But in our case, we have just integer numbers. We can sort out the array, and it will sort it in a natural way. So let's just sort, and we type in null in case that we want it in a natural way. We can have the sorting method, and if we type in the parameter null, it will sort it in a natural way. So I can print out these values and see what happens. So my array list, my final array list was 4, 12, 2, and it sorted into 2, 4, 12, and it sorted all the numbers from least to greatest. So that is in a natural way. But you can change this parameter in order to have different comparisons and sort it depending on your needs. Okay, so we're pretty much done with the introduction to ArrayList. I hope that this video helps you a lot. I encourage you to go and look at the Java API and start playing with all the methods and how they work. Go and check different examples and try them, the ones that we did not cover in this video, and try to play with them in order to understand and master these methods, which will be very handy when you're creating your programs.